Welcome to CasualBCH. In this episode, Cheapy and I talk about lightning, governments, and cyborgs. Quick shout out to whoever donated 1 BCH. That's awesome. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to another episode. We were both sick recently, so forgive us, dear audience, if both of our voices sound like we're boiling gravel.
Yeah, although I sound amazing compared to 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
When we first started recording this, I had like a dozen episodes ish, or a dozen hours or whatever amount of big chunk to pull from. So we didn't record for quite a while because we were sick, and so I was just able to edit those up and send them out.
So please forgive us if the topics were not exactly timely.
Yes, especially the shout out to Sahid was not. Did you watch Matthew's presentation?
It's quite long. I didn't watch all of it, to be quite honest. What I did watch, I think, was great, and so I recommend anyone who's interested in getting into CashTokens to give it a peek. It's probably the most in-depth CashTokens video that's available.
It was a nice quick overview of kind of touching everything a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously it's for a particular audience, right? Developers. It's not for us laymen. By us, I mean me, not you.
It's maybe half me.
Right.
I mean, CashTokens in general is still kind of dev-oriented in general, so.
Fair enough. So, you like stuff?
So there's been some news with Lightning recently. Not to talk about other chains, but I found it kind of funny. How multiple devs have dropped out of the race, basically. And after announcing the cycling attack or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a fundamental issue that Lightning most likely cannot solve without some sort of layer 1 changes on BTC, hard fork wise.
That's not good news for them. But that also, I mean, I don't want to harp on BTC stuff forever, but they've left the whole peer-to-peer electronic cash thing behind, right? There's very few people. Right, but I mean, the loudest voices, or at least the strongest voices over there, have been saying for years now, just use credit cards. It's not for people who make less than whatever amount of money a day. It's, don't spend it, just hold it. Like, all of these things are why would you spend your BTC? These narratives are pretty much well established. There are certainly some people who still have this fantasy that Bitcoin is meant for commerce, and those people generally were counting on Lightning to fill that gap. And I don't know how severe this current issue is. I'm not a developer, so I wouldn't probably understand the technicalities anyway, but it seems to me like there's some people who think that it's severe enough that they're abandoning Lightning, essentially. If that's the case, I mean, Lightning's already a Rube Goldberg machine anyway. That the latest Peter McCormack video says, don't use it. Basically, just trust wallet of Satoshi. Mm-hmm. So, if they don't care about the cash use case, there isn't a lot of motivation to work on it anyway. Lightning has been this sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lip service sort of thing. It's like, yeah, if you want to use Bitcoin for cash, which you shouldn't anyway, it should just hold it forever until later when you dump it for fiat and then you buy a Lamborghini. Then there's Lightning if you want to go ahead and use your Bitcoin like an idiot.
It was a carrot on the stick.
Right. And so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal because no one's really using Lightning anyway. More people use wrapped BTC on Ethereum than use Lightning. And so I don't think it's going to, it's not, aha, we got them, this is the end, no, it's not, they don't care anyway. It's like, if you just want to buy Bitcoin on an exchange and then hold it in your exchange wallet, until the price goes up and you dump it for fiat, this isn't going to have any effect on you whatsoever. And people that want to use crypto in their daily lives can and do, and they use other chains. It's not going to be that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of where the argument, I think, comes up of, like, I think we're still kind of early, and because that's said multiple times in the past. So Lightning was the carrot on the stick, and a lot of people might view that as a very bad thing, that the currency use case can't be used on BTC if they view Lightning as a failure now. So they kind of lose that narrative. But at the end of the day, you're right, it's probably not going to really impact BTC price-wise, because most of the people in it seem to be just pure speculators, people with like large sums of money that are in it, not the average person on the street en masse. So it kind of comes down to, like, is the BTC bubble just going to keep going up because, you know, with today's ETF stuff that's going on right now, maybe there's some truth to it, that some money will flow into it from that and inflate the BTC bubble more. It's not going to be sustainable long term, but that could happen in the short term. But that's just kind of the peer-to-peer currency case isn't happening with that. Yeah.
I totally agree, but at the same time, I think we're talking about different classes of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people are participating in the American stock market, right? So it's like, I forget what percentage it is, but it's like, what percentage of global economic activity happens in the American stock market? It's massive, right? It's absolutely massive. You know, all of crypto is less than 2% of global commerce right now. It's still such early days. And so, you know, people who are into investing in real estate and the stock market, et cetera, are a very small percentage of people in the world. And whether or not they can participate doesn't really matter. I mean, the average person, there's all kinds of gates that prevent us plebs from participating in the stock market and real estate, whatever, right? And so being shut out of the number go up crypto economy because of fees on the BTC network are not really any different, right? So it's like, well, if you want to participate in BTC, you've got to have a certain amount of money anyway. That's basically the same as legacy finance, and I don't think that's going to change. And that's fine. You know, there's all of these things that people can participate in as far as investments go. You know, whether it's gold or ETFs or whatever, real estate. But that's not the point of Bitcoin, right? The point of Bitcoin is, sure, investment, not necessarily this sort of like high-end, exclusive, high-class investment. Point of Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And like it sounds obvious, right? But it's replacing global commerce, right? On a very grassroots level, which is, I want to buy eggs. You have eggs. I give you some Bitcoin. I get some eggs, right? That's basically what we're going for. I don't really have a problem with BTC now being this like high class investment thing and BCH being the rest, right? I don't have a problem with that. And I think if we're successful, obviously the price of BCH will go up with more use. But if it doesn't end up being this like super high class only investment vehicle, that's absolutely fine with me. I don't have a problem with that at all.
See, I don't know the actual numbers for this, but it seems intuitive that the average people, when you add them up all together, would be bigger than the elite. But then at the same time, It's like there is so much money in the world and it's constantly focusing into the people at the top, get richer. So I don't actually know what the numbers are, but it just, and I could be wrong about it, but intuitively it just seems like peer-to-peer currency would make you more money in the end because there's more people that want it than that highly speculative asset class that BTC is. So it seems strange that people don't just gravitate through greed straight to BCH.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers either. I'm sure I looked it up at some point, and I don't want to say anything until I don't sound like an idiot. He's like, oh, he said that the cash use case actually is no. I don't know. yeah, that seems logical to me as well, that there's more money moving around in the poors than there is in the not poors. But I'm not sure with concentration of wealth. But at the same time, it's like how much of that wealth actually exists versus is money on paper, which is derivatives and all these other things, which are technically not even real money, right? It's like when you deposit your money in the bank, they can lend it out to 10 different people, but they don't need 10 times the money. So yeah, I'm not sure but what is money, and is money real? And it's just this conversation can spiral out, which I think is kind of the point, actually. The current state of global finance is really fucked up. And if you look at what happened in 2008, et cetera, it's like even these people who were selling these derivatives and default swaps and all of this stuff, they didn't know what was going on either. It's just like everyone just kind of like winking and nudging each other, being like, hey, yeah, this money really exists somewhere. Trust me. And if you put your money in, you'll get more money out. But at the end of the day, someone's holding the bag. We really need to unfuck this problem, because it's like you can't trust money. You can't trust it. Like, just even inflation.
I don't think we're gonna fix it, though.
You don't think we're going to fix it?
No, like long term potentially, but
Yep.
I mean, just look at exchanges right now. Like, exchanges aren't going to go away quickly. Centralized ones.
Sure.
And they are, there's been multiple situations where it seems like, based off the data that comes out, the exchanges seem to be short on BCH sometimes.
Right.
And other coins, like this has happened for other coins as well. So they're just using paper versions of it and then trying to get the coins when they need them. So it's already, even though it's crypto, it can still be fucked with a little bit, because these exchanges exist, and they will disappear in the future, hopefully one day. But like, I think that's pretty far away.
Sadly, I agree. I think that you're very right. As long as the exchanges are basically dark pools, right? You're trusting that the numbers they display to you are the numbers of coins that are actually being held. But if these exchanges offer leverage and they offer APY and all of these things, it's like, well, do they actually have the coins that they're selling? One exchange, I think it's BitGet, just shut down BCH like yesterday, and they didn't specify why. It's like, we're halting BCH transactions for customer service or something. It's like, it just didn't, it's just like, they're not saying like, oh, we don't have the BCH that we say we do, but that's what it seems to be.
Yeah, you gotta run down to the payday loan.
So, right. So it's like, until more people deposit, we're not going to let people trade because we can't cover it. Alameda and FTX and all everything that's been going on the last few years, CoinFlex. Nobody has the money that they say that they do. That's probably going to be true for a while, but of course the point is getting away from that, and I think if we're successful, there will be more people in the future who look at projects as far as investment, and there will certainly be some people who don't do any kind of research and will blindly put their money in Bob's crypto fund because he promises 1,000x return. And then there'll be other people who look at what's going on in a project like AnyHedge, and they'll look at the detail and be like, oh wait, this is actually a real thing. This isn't like funny business with numbers. This is all money that exists and is there and is relatively safe. No risk, no reward. Sure, if you get in on the ground floor in a pump and dump, you can maybe not be the bag holder and acquire all of the funds of the people who came in after you. But I think for what we're trying to do, that's going to be less popular in the future. Hopefully, there's no end to people who will try and scam other people. So, yeah,
it allows way more transparency, and the tools are there to kill off all of those shady businesses in terms of centralized exchanges doing things like that. But yeah, it's going to take time to get there, and crypto is just a tool, it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be other sorts of scams and stuff like that aren't enabled because of it. So you can pick your poison.
Correct. And scams will evolve, right? There's no shortage of ingenuity for people to develop things where the secret ingredient is crime, and of course, crime meaning just stealing people's money, not necessarily against American or Japanese law or whatever.
That was flowing in like a topic that I think we've went over before, or me and Vin. So I don't know if I necessarily want to go down it again. But where do you draw the line on? So crypto being, oh, I can send you money and that's a freedom thing, but then it's like, oh, that'll stop wars, but it won't stop wars. It may enable it as well. So taking like the Israel-Palestine thing right now.
Oh, let's go down that.
not necessarily, but
well, I definitely stand with the good people in that conflict.
Yeah, one person's good people is the other person's terrorist. Right.
Well, BCH is terrorist money, so
that's true.
Yeah. I think war has existed throughout history, and I think we did touch on this before.
I think we did, a little bit. It gets into some very big gray areas.
It does. I don't really see crypto as enabling more war. But at the same time, I don't think crypto is going to like end war either. I mean, in my utopian sort of vision, it'll get to the point where there'll be enough for people in the world that we don't need war anymore, and that's not something that's going to happen in our lifetimes, I don't think. I think anything short of a global cataclysm or alien visitation, I don't think humanity can unite in such a short period of time. And even in the case of a global cataclysm, I don't think that humans would all get on board. There would certainly be people who say the cataclysm is not real, right? Yeah, with a global cataclysm, there would certainly be a percentage of the population who say it's not real. They would deny anything, even in front of their own faces. If aliens came and surrounded the Earth and telepathically connected to every single human at the same time and like communicated with us and was like, hey guys, stop, then maybe it would have an effect. But in our lifetimes, I think, just not poop on them too much, but religion, I think, is a huge part of the problem, because my God is bigger than your God, and then therefore you can't coexist because your God is a false God. As long as there are people who hold views that are so extreme that it's okay to kill people who don't follow the same belief system as you, and that's not limited to religion. It's also ideology, left or right,
or whatever. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. There's always going to be some potential for the justification of killing people based on the fact that they don't believe in the thing that you believe, and I don't really think that's going to go away anytime soon, even though it's just ridiculous. There is certainly something to be said about accountability. And so obviously there will always be dark money. You don't need crypto to wage a war. Certainly there are people who are using crypto right now to donate money to the cause that they support, whether it's Ukraine or Russia or Hamas or whatever it is. People have been donating crypto since like very early days. I remember somebody donated to ISIS, like the official ISIS account or something. It became this like big deal all the way back in like 2014 or something. So, but at the same time, if there is some level of transparency from state actors, then you'll know where their money is going. So ideally in the future, a government of your country of choice will have full accountability on chain. And so you'll know where their money is going. But in the current state of things, obviously, in the United States, they have some percentage of funds that go to dark projects. And that's just, money that goes to the defense budget. And then where it ends up is a black box. And that won't change, I don't think. So, yeah, I don't think crypto is the magic bullet that's going to end war. No pun intended. Nice. But the point being that if the tide raises all boats and we're able to lift more people out of poverty and get the world in a better state than it is today, that there would be less conflict. Maybe that's naive or silly.
I think you could definitely make the argument that there would be potentially less conflict because the money would in theory be more distributed, and you could argue that the governments in power now are much more centralized. It's much easier for them to just make the decisions to do what they want to do. Whereas with a more distributed funding mechanism, I guess it could go both ways. It could be easier to get money because you have a bigger audience, but it's also harder for people to make decisions to go forward. So
I think, we're still dealing with the Industrial Revolution to some degree. We're you and I were born on the cusp, right, between the old world and the new world. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine what's going to happen by the time I die, assuming that I live a full life, right? Just the advances in AI as far as video tools, like in the last 6 months, just blows me away, right?
Yep.
So hopefully these progressions in human development, technology, and otherwise will continue, and also change our thinking, and also change how we do things in every way. I am quite hopeful. Humans are incredibly creative, and generally speaking, we're empathetic. If you see someone on the side of the road that's bleeding, you will probably feel the need to help them in some way, whether it's calling 911 or actually trying to stop the bleeding yourself, or whatever it is, or even just screaming like, somebody help this person. You feel the need to help other people. I certainly do. Obviously, psychopaths don't, but I think generally speaking, people want other people to be happy and healthy. And I think crypto certainly has a place in helping people. And hopefully, we can revolutionize much more of society than just QR code spending. I think there's we're just building the foundation right now. And that's what all of this is about, is building a foundation that we can use as a launch pad to progress humanity into the next stage. And again, I sound like an ideologue or something, but I probably am. But that's why I'm into this. It's about progressing humanity to the next stage. It's not about I get rich and I buy a Lamborghini. I don't even want a Lamborghini. I'm really happy with my bicycle. It's true.
But you could get a yellow Lamborghini brand one.
Well, no, actually, I don't want that either. Green has to be green.
Oh.
But that's why I'm doing what I do. That's why I spend basically all day, every day working on Bitcoin Cash stuff, is because I believe it's helping lay the foundation for the next stage of humanity. And, somebody's got to do that. If you want the world to be a better place, somebody has to work on making that happen. And me looking out for just me and me getting rich so that I can vacation in Dubai or whatever is not going to help humanity. And so when I look at tools like Lightning and whatever, I don't think that this is helpful to humanity. It's a step backwards. It's complicated. It's slow. It fails all the time. That doesn't help us get to the next stage of commerce, and therefore help us get to the next stage of human development. And I talk to people in the BCH community all the time, and I think we're, generally speaking, quite aligned in that we're trying to make the world a better place. And that's basically the priority. It's not just about, we create a new crypto so that we get more money in our crypto. There are definitely people who believe that. If you look at the Bitcoin Cash price channel, there are definitely people who are interested in one and only thing, and that's their bag's value going up in fiat terms. But I think people who are really working on the development end of BCH don't fall in that category. That being said, we all definitely want to be in a better, more secure financial position than we are today in the future. And so it can be both. But working towards something a bit bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I remember one of the first things that like really started turning me on to Bitcoin and crypto in general, a long time ago, was how it could be used for voting, because it just seems like such an obvious use case where an old podcast went into this, very old one, but it's the network is a source of truth, and like so much decisions in society depends on governments, and that's probably not going to go away. Like they'll exist in some form into the future, and I can see crypto blockchain stuff being very integral to the solution to that. That will be much more open and fair and allow much more possibilities to happen that don't happen today because it's not really technically feasible, or at least they weren't technically feasible in the past. And that might be a reason why I'm so into the DAO stuff as well, because that's kind of like a piece of that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Democracy was the best system, and maybe still is today, because the next system hasn't been fleshed out yet. But democracy has many flaws. We're definitely ready for the next thing, whatever that is. And even if it's digital democracy or technocracy, or whatever it is, where everybody has a vote based off of their wallet or their registered wallet, right?
It's just good to go to the extreme on that right away. Have you watched the Orville?
Yes.
So you remember the upvote downvote planet?
Yes.
That's basically the extreme version of that, where it's like essentially Reddit and everybody's upvoting, downvoting, and everything at all times.
Yeah, the social credit thing is not where I want to be going. No. That's certainly one direction it could go. China's doing that right now. Even that's centralized, right? That's the government deciding your score. It's not the people. Cancel culture and wokeism and whatever is a thing today. It would be much more extreme if everyone had a badge and you could upvote and downvote them based off of they weren't cool or whatever.
But the same concept.
There was an episode of Black Mirror that did that as well.
Okay, the same concept though of just getting, and this is where I think I always got hung up on prediction markets, was that you're getting everybody's opinion at the same time type thing. So what should your society do about X? Well, you can figure it out very quickly in terms of like what everybody thinks about. So
yes, but again, there's a big difference between like what do you think about building a road through the Funya versus do you think Sayoshi should be executed? Like those are different levels, right? So everybody can have a voice. Part of me thinks that it can be pretty complicated, but part of me thinks that like, oh, it would be wonderful if everyone had a voice in deciding, all of the major things, whatever the major things are, right? So, but at the same time, there is a reason why we have government, and that's because nobody has time to investigate all of the things. And so you theoretically, put your stake into Mrs. X because she has similar views to you, and you hope that she will use her powerful voice to advocate for you on your similar things, because you don't have who has time to look into every little decision that's being made, right? That's somebody else's job. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about like, where the power poles go and whether we should put in new pipes and if we should fix the pothole on this street and should we build an overpass and should the library have a foreign books section and all there's a reason why government exists, and we'll never escape it because nobody has the time to form an opinion on the minutia of everything that goes on in society. Even if we had UBI and nobody had to go to work and we could all just sit on our asses all day and work on our passion projects, Nobody's going to take the time to look into the minutia of every single decision that needs to be made. There's always going to be some delegation, unless it gets to the point where we develop AI that is unbiased. But then it also gets into the point where it's like, the most dangerous things for humans are humans, so we've eliminated the humans.
Welcome,
right?
Skynet.
Right. So not really connected to BCH in any way.
Yes. I was thinking along the same lines though. Like, I haven't really thought about this in depth, so I'm not prepared in any way for this topic. But
let's go. That sounds good.
But yeah, like if it ever did happen like that, where everybody had a vote, it's the delegation part you're talking about. 100% would happen. People would just delegate to whoever they wanted, which is basically what government is to a degree, but it's very unfair right now, the way it works in most places, because the voice that people have is basically non-existent. It's diluted down too much, and I think if everybody had their own vote, the delegation would have much more of an impact. You could also change it when you wanted to, type thing. So it's almost like just watching some random news stuff lately. There was Twitch streamers getting on like these big news channels just because they have such a big following of people that are, they're doing the reactions and stuff, and they're commentating on it. And now they are getting on the old traditional channels simply because of the amount of views they're getting. And it's almost like those people are almost delegating their attention and information gathering to these streamers. And it's almost like a tiny example of like what voting could be in the future. I don't know. It's worth thinking about, I think.
This is not really connected to BCH, but whatever. We're getting into it. Yeah, I think a big problem that we have right now today is truth. Truth is fluid. It's not objective anymore. What you and I think is based off of whatever information we've been able to gather, and that information that we've been able to gather has been presented to us by other people who may or may not have invested interest in the outcome of people sharing the same perception as them. And so as you mentioned before, prediction markets can be really good arbiters of what is truth. And as we progress technologically, truth is going to be harder to verify. And perfect example is, the recent pump last week or whatever, where, $100 million was wiped out on the BTC market because Cointelegraph was like, ETF has been approved, and people flooded money in. It wasn't true, right? Traditional media and even current digital media are racing to be the first to get the views, right? And so I think there's a real market for truth. And I think prediction markets are going to be a huge part of that in the future. Just being the arbiter of actual truth, right? Not your version of the truth, like people who spend a lot of time and effort to, like Snopes, right? People who spend a lot of time and effort to verify what is and is not true will be more and more valuable as truth gets more easy to distort based off of AI image generation, AI voice generation, AI video generation. Verifying what is and is not true is going to be an excellent market. And I think it would be fantastic if, and that's sort of how Bitcoin works, right? Bitcoin is valuable because it's able to verify what is and is not true. Your money is or is not at this address, and that's verified by all the computers around the world. Obviously it's going to be difficult to verify truth on different levels. Is Taylor Swift actually dating the football guy, or is it that's not the truth that we need to worry about establishing. What we need to worry about establishing is, did this business contract actually happen? Did this person follow through with what they said that they were going to follow through? Did this politician keep their promise? I think in the future, there will be a permanent record of these things. And I think it will help humanity when you can very quickly and easily see that, this person did do what they said that they were going to do, or they didn't do what they said they were going to do, and here's why. And so the future truth market or prediction market will be incredibly valuable, and whoever is able to establish that will get filthy rich based on the fact that they're able to provide true and honest information that's reliable. And I think you could make so much more money doing that than you could scamming people. So I look forward to that future where truth isn't as liquid as it is today, right? There's a really great. Sorry,
I was just gonna say there's a very fine line, and it's where the shades of gray come in, because the Chinese social credit stuff is elements of that, but it's with a centralized twist on it, and they're the bad things that are part of that. So it's definitely a balancing act of what's. It doesn't matter what you talk to. It depends on the people behind it, basically. And in that case, you have a centralized entity that's trying to protect themselves. The other, in theory, is a decentralized entity that's just trying to find the source of truth. So,
yes.
But at the end of the day, it's still going to have people that have different views of both of those. So everything just kind of boils down to people and perceptions. Yeah,
the social issues of crypto are very real. I mean, you can argue that the forks have all been social things, right? They're not necessarily technical things, or they're the humans behind the technical things. And if you can, which is why the chip process is so great, because it's really getting in front of the social issues. It's not, fork day is this day, so I'm friends with the lead developer of BCHN and he'll put the thing in for me, so now it's truth. That's not how it works, right? It's all about establishing well in advance support for your thing. And I think it's a really good model that other truth-based things can be established on. Is we have to get away from these social manipulation things if we're going to progress, because there'll always be people who are trying to game whatever system for their own personal benefit. So if we can work on getting away from those kinds of systems, I think it would be very beneficial for humanity.
To flip around a little bit, I like Monero. Sure.
Yep.
But because it's fully private by default, I feel like that's part of the reason why it wouldn't necessarily be good for full worldwide adoption, because it does enable shadiness easier. One way to put it, I guess.
Yep.
And that's where all these shades of grays come in.
Right. So in an ideal world, you won't need privacy because no one is going to be interested in harming you or manipulating you or controlling you, right? In Cheapy's utopia, the world is such a wonderful place that no one has ulterior motives, right? That is a nice fantasy. So Monero is great because you have full privacy and you can conduct your business without worrying about people getting your information and using it in a way to harm you, right? So Monero essentially is about preventing harm, right? All privacy coins are about preventing harm, whatever you think that is. But as you said, the flip side of that is also, well, you can use privacy as a mask for murder, right? Which is no different than anything else as far as money goes, right? I can hand you a bag of cash and you can still do murder. It doesn't Monero's not murder coin. It's just facilitating any kind of private transaction, good or bad. Money's agnostic. But in an ideal world, that won't be necessary, because why would I want to murder you?
Because humans are humans.
Right.
Yeah. So they have a very long history of being very predictable.
Yes. But, I think it's also conceivable that we're going to become techno-sapiens or whatever relatively soon. I'm sure some people have a extremely negative view about getting to the point where we have, implants in our brains that are programmable. But I think it's absolutely going to happen. Assuming humanity survives, it's going to get to the point where we eventually merge with machines. And at some point, we will evolve to the point where deceit is no longer necessary, because we'll be unified in whatever goal it is what we're trying to achieve. This is a very sci-fi
It is very going out there, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Wow. And everyone will have a BCH node, full node in their brain. And Yeah, I don't.
You could all control your own block size.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work, but I ideally will evolve. I don't know what the next stage of humanity is going to look like, but I think we will evolve again. That's inevitable. Assuming you believe in evolution, continue to evolve. And if we don't kill ourselves before the next stage, I believe that technology is going to play a huge part. It already is. I mean, people have pacemakers and all these other things. I don't think anyone would have a problem with like circuits implanted in their muscles to prevent shaky hands or anything like that. I think the line is going to get to the point where people are putting computers in their brains that enhance functionality or that changes your processing ability with the way that you can handle information. I think that's going to be the sort of line where some people are like, no, we've gone too far.
Yeah, that's
as long as it's all external, it's fine. But
well, it's not though. Like that stuff is already happening, and a lot of it is for people that have disabilities, like deaf, blind, that type of stuff. Like that's old news basically. It's right. It is happening over time. So in the future, having some sort of like
Matrix level, like I know kung fu, right?
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. It's the baby steps are already happening, and things like pacemakers are even older, I think, where it's just slowly over time, and it's like, your heart gave out, we can replace it with something that can keep you going for a while, and that's just going to keep going, and then it's once you start hitting that 50% cyborg. So what I'm hearing is that the future is Bitcoin Cash, cyborgs. So we're going to be the Borg, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah. We will be assimilated.
I am Bitcoin, I'm not nervous. I'm the tech that changes what society is. I am money, I create freedom, and I'm limited, so I know what my worth is. I don't ask how high the fee is. I don't open, verifiable blockchain. Hashes and transactions, I find them, I process them. I verify what I'm handed, I trust what's commanded. But under the surface, I feel berserk like a keyboard warrior that's suddenly wordless. Under the surface, was Satoshi ever like, yo, I don't wanna fight big banks. Under the surface, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can be of service. A bug or a hack, a line in the stack that brings the camel's back. What brings the camel's back? It's growth of the fees that'll never stop. Whoa. Users that'll leave till we just go bump. Whoa. Give it to BCH, their blocks got bigger, and all we got was the stamp ticker. Who am I if I can't scale with the bull? If I fall to payments that are slow, and they just won't go. Whoa. Fees that'll grow till it's ready to blow. Whoa. Give it to Satoshi, blockchain is stronger. See the users throw away the dollar. Who am I if I can't verify it at all? If I falter under the surface, I hide my nerves and it worsens. I worry a central chain will hurt us. Under the surface, the miners will leave. They need fees, lighting will kill this. Under the surface, I think about the white paper. Can we somehow preserve it? Line up Maxis, yo, electronic gold blows. Who can try to stop it tumbling, but on it goes. But wait, if I could scale to support the whole world's transactions, would that free some room up for more developmentation or simple uses? Instead we measure this growing blockchain. Keeps growing, keep going, 'cause all we see is rising of the fees that'll never stop. Whoa. Users that'll leave till we just go pop. Whoa. BCH is Bitcoin, the original purpose. See why it can sustain all the miners' income. Watch as Satoshi's design bends but never breaks. No mistakes, just fees that are low and sustainable. Whoa. Blocks that can grow, 'cause we're ready to go. Whoa. Come to Bitcoin Cash and never wonder when Blockstream's gonna pull you under. What's the point if
Fuck you! Are we recording? Is that in there?
It technically is.
Oh shit!